Financial Pillars All About the Money podcast, presented by Our Neutral Voices Media. Our show is all about helping our audience understand money, mindsets, and tap into the economic knowledge that builds financially secure individuals, families, and communities. So whether you're tuning into our show to learn about budgeting, building credit, investing, or starting your own business, we're here to break down the knowledge in a real and relatable way. I'm Ryan Leopard, private banker with Star Financial Bank. To my right here, my man.
I'm JJ Foster, Lake City Bank.
And Ben, Flagstaff Bank branch manager.
Welcome, gentlemen. So today's topic, we want to talk a little bit about, jump the gun there. You want to take us in with a little prayer?
Sure. Yes, sir. Lord, thank you for waking us up this morning and bringing us here together this morning so that we can share knowledge with our community and make our community stronger. And Lord, we'd like to send extra special prayers and blessings to the Jackson family in their time of loss and bereavement. And please continue to wrap your arms around our community and around our nation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. So, emotional spending. I want to talk about that a little bit today. Emotional spending, when I say that, what does that mean? What is emotional spending?
Just buying things based off of how your mood is that day, how you feeling, using your emotions to control what you spend. You know, one thing about it, when you talk about emotions, think about it. When we're happy, hey, let's go out to eat. Hey, would you like a present? When we're bored, sitting around, hey, let's go shopping. Might feel better. Hey, go out to the mall. It's fun. You know, when I'm stressed, I'm down, man, I feel bad. Well, hey, let's go out and let me get this. I'm going to buy this. And I guess, you know, it's ways to lift your mood up, you know, so.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I never really thought about emotional spending till we thought about this as a topic on there, and I had to reflect on myself. And yes, I absolutely suffer from emotional spending myself. Just looking into it, a little bit of stats to jump into real quick. It says approximately 63 to 69% of Americans engage in emotional spending, using retail therapy to cope with stress, boredom, or happiness, with over 70% of those shoppers overspending as a result, and the behavior causes roughly 40% of American spenders to go into debt with that. Yeah. So I guess emotional spending, right? Let's talk about the downfall of that, which number one would be running yourself into debt, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And when you talk emotional, I mean, that's the other side of it. Because once you get into debt and you look at that bill, now that affects your emotional health. You got, you know, stress and anxiety and all those things. So again, we came up with this topic. You had the emotional side over here that's making you feel happy, but on the other side, you know, it's affecting you and it's adding negatively to your mental health.
So where does that emotional spending, that instant gratification of buying something, you know, kind of kicks in the dopamine in your brain, right? From what I'm understanding from that, kind of gives us an immediate sense of thrill or satisfaction. Unfortunately, that wears off. Yeah. And then that bill comes in the mail, right? If you didn't have the money to buy it in cash. Any experiences with emotional spending?
Oh, yeah. I can say this. Prompt, I think about it as a way of just a prompt mechanism of rewarding ourselves. Mm-hmm. So you're going through a stress or a happy moment, making that unplanned purchase. And I've been there once. I remember there's a certain time I really had to give myself counseling and reward myself before I even opened my credit card app, because I'm like, oh gosh, what am I going to see here? So yeah. And so with that, I just learned more about, you know, ways I could potentially plan better when it comes to big purchases or even small, going to the grocery store and just making sure I have a list of things that I need on a daily basis. And if it's anything that is really big, thinking about if I need it then. So maybe having like a 48-hour rule. There's still, for me, there's no perfect way. I still go through that sometimes. And there are times that I review my monthly, expense and I'm like, did I really need that? And what really drove me to get it to start with?
It's funny that you're mentioning the grocery shopping, because I was just talking to Tamara Offset about that too, and realized, in reflecting on what emotional spending is, realizing I suffer from that as well, because I always know that don't ever go to the grocery store when you're hungry, but I never thought about that as an emotional spending thing, which in all reality it is. You're going there, you're hungry, everything looks good while you're there.
Yeah.
So then you buy more than what you probably need, right? You go home, you have a couple things, you're satisfied. You need all the rest of that stuff. And one thing I've always thought about I'm not a big online shopper, and I absolutely can't stand grocery shopping online. But in thinking about it, like that would absolutely help me personally, grocery shopping online, because I can't stand going through and just looking at stuff. I would only go through and just buy the things I know I need. When I go to the grocery store, I'm walking up and down every aisle, looking at everything that looks good, and it goes in my basket.
And know it's strategically placed. So you walking back, past that, it's set up for you. It looks, hey, yeah, I don't know, I need them Oreo cookies.
Designed to make you fail.
There you go. That's exactly right. So
Yeah. So what are some other signs of emotional spending?
I'm gonna say this too. And you think about our workshops, and we set those up and entitled them by design: financial literacy, a mental state of mind. And there's a reason why we bring in mental health counselors to our financial literacy workshops, because this very topic. Things that impact emotional spending too. And it's funny, you mentioned online. We got to remember social media. That's something to think about. Everybody's scrolling through. We look, oh man, look at that. Oh, that car there. Oh, there's clothes here. Oh, these folks are on this trip. Now I need that. I want to do that.
Gotta keep up with the Joneses,
gotta
right?
keep up with the Joneses. And I want to be cool, so I want to post my pictures. So I got to do everything that they're doing. All these things are playing on your emotion. And Ben hit on some things, when you talk about strategies for alleviate some of these impulse buys. He said 48 hours. 48 hours, I don't know, that's a lot. Or not a lot, but like 30 days. If you look at something and say, hey, give it 30 days, and if you still need it or it's still in your mind, that's something you might want to go at. You mentioned online shopping. Here's something that people might not think about: unsubscribe. Because again, they have your algorithm. You're getting stuff sent to you from they know exactly what you like. I know you a shoe head, so I'm sure you get stuff from Foot Locker and all.
Scroll through Facebook, there's shoes popping up.
There you go. So unsubscribe. Now you're not getting those things. The other thing, cash. If you get your check directly deposited, and I'm gonna pull out, say $100, $200, whatever. Now that's in my pocket. I say this is all that I'm gonna spend. You're kind of controlling it that way. So those are just a couple of different strategies that you can use.
Yeah, the one that you mentioned, the keeping up with the Joneses, is a tough one that I know, especially parents deal with all the time in today's world because of social media. Where everybody's kids got an iPhone, or everybody's kids got the newest Jordans. They got this stuff, and your kids come home and they want that, and they're going somewhere on spring break, and you may not have the money for it, but you wanting to keep up and give your kids the best life possible too, and making them think they're just as equal as their friends. You run into that at all?
I do, yeah, and it's more so like one thing I said earlier, the way of rewarding ourselves. Sometimes we channel our emotions through shopping, and one thing that I could say that I've related to it is one thing you mentioned earlier. For example, grocery shopping. I may find myself to be the most frugal person, but there are things that I really miss on, and I'm really taking notes on them. So, for instance, I could say, well, I'm going to go to Walmart and I'm going to get things, and I'm trying to use this memory of mine that is running a million things on a daily basis. And I'll go to Walmart and I'll pick up things only to get home and realize, like, oh my gosh, the most important thing that I forgot was potentially coffee. So now I have to go back to Walmart again. And when I go back to Walmart, whatever took me back there, I end up picking up other things. So more so now, as much as I'm realizing that is in fact, if I may not want to utilize online shopping, but one thing I'm doing that is relatable to me now is utilizing, for instance, if I'm going to Kroger, utilizing the Kroger app and putting things on my list. That way I know exactly what I need. As things are running out, I have that there, because I've got myself into a position where I've missed something very important. and I have to go back to the store again and then get something else. And then also those stresses of, trying to reward ourselves in terms of those prompt purchases. So for instance, you're online and you really this cool shirt, and then you all of a sudden it's like it's only $20. You just check out, the easy way of checking out. One thing that I normally do is just try to remove my cards from all those, like for instance, when it comes to Amazon, I don't have my credit card or debit card linked on there. I have to manually link it all the time, and I delete it, and it's intentional because
then you really have to think about it. Do I really want to put all this information in? Like, go through this effort of typing my credit card number in? And
yeah, and I don't have that easy way of checking out.
Yeah.
I have to
that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Yeah, I have to go in and really, load the card, and check out all that. So that really tells me that I want it. There is no perfect way. And so I would just say just becoming aware of ourselves, things that we're going through on a daily basis, whether they're happy feelings, stressors, and also acknowledging ways that we want to reward ourselves. Are we rewarding ourselves through things that we don't actually need, or are we rewarding ourselves with things that we really want, or it's a basic things? And what are other ways that we can do to, award ourselves? And even so, when we're doing that to award ourselves, because there's no life without extra joy or extra play and having fun, what are economical ways that we can potentially plan on those things? Or, if it's like dinner, maybe like rewarding yourself. If it's that important to you, maybe doing that maybe once a month and figuring out a perfect day to do it. If it's date nights, figuring out a perfect time to do it. And I've had friends who are married and, they would go out and even share a plate because, they just want to be out, but they're doing things that they would enjoy by cutting cost a little bit. Or they would say no drinks outside. They'll probably just go have dinner and go home. So ways in which that you acknowledge, well, I want to reward myself. I still want life to become more fun, but how can I cut back on it? Right. And what are the ways I can reward myself without incurring those additional?
That's a great point. Because when I'm thinking of emotional spending, it's usually in a negative, right?
Yeah.
Negative thought process. But is rewarding ourselves a bad thing?
No,
not at all.
Human nature.
It's human nature. Yeah, we work hard for our money, right? And if we are out and there's something that's going to make us feel good or something that, we really, really want, it's okay to treat ourselves within the context of, can I afford it?
Correct.
What is the downfall of this? Is this going to put me in debt to do that? Right. And then you have a decision to make. But I've told this story, I think, a few times on this show, is that you mentioned me being a shoe head, right? Like I grew up on Jordans. I hadn't bought a pair of Jordans in probably 20 plus years until I had kids. Then I'm out buying them, and I bought them a few pairs of Jordans. And one day, at this point in time, I could never find them in the store, at least the ones I liked, like the retro ones, the 4s. So one day I go out and I bought my son the shoes, and they got the exact same pair in my size. I literally stood there for 45 minutes debating on whether I should buy these shoes. Could I need them? Absolutely not. Could I afford them? Yes. So it was one of those things I had to convince myself, you know what? Treat yourself. It's okay. Unfortunately, I spiraled out of control into some downwards. Now I look at a whole bunch of shoes I've probably never worn before because of that emotional spending, right? Like, I like them. It's a nostalgic thing for me. So I don't buy all Jordans, but certain ones come out, and what I need to do is stop looking at the pre-launch of them and knowing what's coming out. So I'm not going and trying to get them at that point in time. But yeah, it's okay to reward ourselves at time.
Yeah, and to summarize, really, what you and Ben both said, I mean, it's just being mindful, being mindful of your spending patterns, mindful of your decisions. I love the fact that, like you said, going out to eat dinner and we sharing a plate. Me and my wife, she never eats all her food. So therefore, a lot of times I might get appetizer and I know I'm going to be in her plate.
Right.
I get what I want and what she wants.
Hey, there you go. But, what kind of sense does that make other than if you just want to pay for the leftovers? And then, you mentioned the drinks. Drinks cost more than food. That's what hits you when you go out to eat. So you're right. If we, go into it, have a plan, we're going to have our cocktails before we go eat, maybe have one while we're there. And then we're going to step out and have drinks afterwards. But again, being mindful. The other thing is funny, as we were talking and you touched on retail therapy, people use it. You talk about dopamines. You're right. Let's go out because it makes me feel good. It makes me it increases my mood. If we say no need for retail therapy, cut it out, we need to figure out an alternative. So therefore, again, being mindful, figure out what else makes you happy without going and spending a lot of money that when you look, it's going to pull you back down anyway. Now you just created this vicious cycle where, hey, I'm up because I'm spending, but then I'm down when that bill hits. And going back, when you talk about stuff that we've talked about several times in the show, Mark Ellington, I always give a shout out when he talks about using that credit card, and don't use that credit card for nothing more than what you can pay off at the end of that month. It's not a magic wand, as we talk about, a lot of young people get, and just and now I can do, hey, yeah, Ryan said, hey, get these Jordans. I'm going to get these Jordans because Ryan said, hey, Ben, go to Ruth Chris. I'm going with Ben and Ruth Chris. And I'm swiping and I'm swiping. And then I get that bill. Now that face like, man, now hey, I can't afford to pay it off. Now I'm paying these high interest rates for what they get me. And now I'm just caught up in that cycle. But, a mindful guy and be like, okay, Ryan, I'm going to let you be that shoe head. Ben, I catch you. Hey, you guys come get me when you go to Bubba's or somewhere. I got to be a step down, and just being more conscious. So
That's true. And I think also looking at other factors that would influence, because mainly would be, yes, our emotions could be part of it, but also our social circles. And, you talked about keeping up with the Jones, which I think is super critical when it comes to thinking about how we spend money and things of that nature. Just really acknowledging, I'm very big on, again, rewarding yourself. And as you're rewarding yourself, you are aware of how are you rewarding yourself and the impact that it has on rewarding yourself. People measure success very differently. There's one person who could measure success of saving so much money, building wealth, maxing out their 401k, things like that. And there's somebody who also could measure success by taking trips, having fun, clothes, things like that. And there's somebody who could measure success by having a really nice car. And there's somebody else who could measure success by having a really nice house and not really care about the car that they drive, right? So all those are social, diverse people around us who measure success differently. It's really also analyzing and having a self-understanding of yourself and knowing, okay, what are my goals? What are the impacts that I have? Because as much as we're as fun as it is, as we're talking about the emotional spending of it, there are really serious consequences behind those, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm one of those that have faced those online impromptu purchases. For me to come up to say, okay, I'm going to remove my credit card from the site is intentional, because I realized, well, come the end of the month, I'm becoming very scared. In fact, I'm looking at my app and I'm looking at it and I don't even want to open it because I don't want to be responsible for whatever statement balance is on there. And I don't know the impact of it. So just being mindful of things, being mindful of purchases, being aware of, success could mean different to other people around us, and respecting their success and being content with things that I have. Emotional spending can also be a great drive when it comes to keeping us poor, because it's a way of we're constantly swiping and it's taking away from things that we can do. And so as much as it's important for us to achieve our financial goals, how do we really prioritize saving money, building wealth, and still at the same time reward ourselves in those fun things that we like?
Yep. And we're talking about, the keeping up the Joneses part of that, and social media and everything like that, and seeing what's out there. A lot of parents, it's a lot of stress nowadays, with that. But what is the ramifications of trying to keep up with the Joneses?
Yeah.
Debt. What kind of mental issues is it causing you, right? You get that bill. Yes, you just satisfied the kids, they got what their friends have, but now you're over here dealing with the stress of the bills and how am I going to pay this off? Do I have to get a second job? Whatever that is. But also, what are we teaching the kids, right? Not to value a dollar of what it is. Just it's stuff. I suffer from this myself with my daughter. I just told her the other day, I'm going to get her a shirt that just says, I like stuff. Right, because she just is always on. Once she gets something, she wants something else. She wants, and a lot of the stuff comes up with, well, my friend has this, my friend has this, my friend's doing this, my friend's going on vacation here. It's just all this stuff that you're dealing with as parents, that you want to provide the best life for your kids, but what is the ramifications of that?
And that's so true.
With coming into emotional spending, understanding like how do we deal with that, right? Like, how do we kind of keep from engaging in that? One of the biggest things I think is you mentioned is understanding it is a thing, and are you suffering from it? Why are you going and do these things? Understanding what your triggers are, right? What would be some triggers that you would think that would cause somebody for emotional spending?
I can answer that by just analyzing myself and just knowing myself. First of all, you will never catch me at a grocery store when I'm hungry because I'm going to pick up the wrong things.
You will catch me at the grocery store when I'm hungry and I shouldn't be.
Or you will not see me buying things when if I'm going through something emotionally. You will not find me. Like I just want to be as more intentional. As I said, for me, this topic is it's more it's sensitive a little bit because it's something that I'm self-developing on, right? And so as I'm understanding myself, okay, these are the stresses around me, and this is how I'm spending money. So this is when I spend the most
stress.
money.
Stress is a trigger, right?
Stress is a
Big
trigger.
Yep.
And also timing too, because there's some statistics that will show when people are hungry, they tend to pick more carbs from the aisles instead of picking up more things, because the emotions, whatever they're going through at that time is just showing them, okay, pick bread, pick whatever cookies, whatever they may drive them, think that they may not necessarily need. So just kind of more so having a list, and also knowing yourself in terms of, okay, if I'm hungry, or if I'm going through, if my stress is leaning me on towards more carbs, leaning more back to that list that I need when I go grocery shopping. If it's something that is big, like a big financial thing, can I wait? Just taking time on it. I mentioned earlier on our early podcast it could be things that I may need, for instance, like a car. I don't make impromptu purchases when it comes to a car. I first qualify for it ahead of advance. I will pre-qualify for a car. I will look at my spreadsheet. And my friends will laugh and they'll say, if my spreadsheet is red, I can't afford it. And I will look for a way to replace costs if I'm to do it. And so just making sure that we're not putting ourselves in a position where we make instant prompt decisions where it can come back and affect our finances. And we could be as disciplined as we can when it comes to being minimalist and being frugal. But when we go to buy those big things, a house, when you're buying a car, when you're buying this, sometimes it can be a high pressure environment. Because the realtor may just be focused on closing that deal. The car salesman may be focused on just selling you a car without needing that. So having a budget and being aware of financial responsibility in terms of monthly payment can also be important, because you're making your decision based on what you can afford, not what you're pre-qualified for or what you're.
Yeah.
You think of any triggers?
I was just going to say, to expound upon what Ben was talking about, it's funny when you're talking about purchases of cars and homes, because you're right. Okay, these are things I may be able to afford. But now, do I go for that $50,000 car, or do I go for that $12,000 car? Do I have to, again, my buddy over here, I seen, on the internet, social media, he had the latest Mercedes Benz. But do I just need me a nice, reliable car that can get me from point A to point B? It's not going to break down. That's what I want. My home. Like you said, we're going to, as a mortgage originator, we're going to use your DTI, your debt to income, and that's off your gross salary. So do I want to purchase something that's going to take me up and get me a monthly payment that's pushing that issue, knowing that's my gross, it's not my net? Or do I want to have a formula that understands what my actual take home is, and I know what I'm spending out each month, and then we know as, the different workshops that we've done, we want you to be comfortable and utilize that real number, that take home pay, and understanding what your income and your liabilities are, and get you into a payment where you are comfortable enough that you're not stressing each and every month. We want to get you where you're comfortable, and you got a nice little nest egg in case an emergency comes up. So these are things that you might want to take into consideration. But when you talk about triggers, it's funny. No, I'm not an emotional guy as far as spending. You know what I'm thinking? Hey, I'm going to the gym. Give me a workout in. I'm going to ride my bike. Things of that nature. That's why I said get you an ulterior to retail therapy. If you literally are getting, pleasure, that's something that you want to do is spend, figure out what can get you that same emotion. Volunteer. I mean, rescue mission always, wants volunteers. Your church, do things of that nature. Help people out. Do things that you're helping somebody and it's not costing you anything.
Right.
Yep. So to that point, with what you were kind of referring to with those solutions, were triggered boredom, right? You have time on your hand. You're bored. You need something to do. Easy route is I'm going to go to the mall. Well, guess what? When you go to the mall, you might just go there planning on looking, but you're going to probably find something to satisfy, that urge that you have to fill your time. But that's a great point. I always say that, for stress or boredom, the gym's a great thing, right? It's not always about weight and health and things like that. It's a great way to go and get a release, get your mind off of whatever your stresses are, get your mind off the boredom, go to them. And if you can't afford a gym membership or you don't want to, go outside, run, jog, do something, do something.
We have beautiful
occupy
parks.
your time, right? There's always a solution to be able to fill that void that boredom or time has in there.
Do you guys give yourself a spending limit?
No. I guess what I have available, what it could.
Would
Yeah.
be,
I mean, I would say that for me personally, I feel as if I'm not somebody that can be sold.
Right.
So if I'm going somewhere and I'm looking at something, it's either I want to buy it or not. The salesperson's not going to make a bit of difference in that. The only thing they can make a difference on is if I'm going to buy a TV, which TV should I buy? Because I have some questions on that. But if I come in and I'm just here to look, no one's going to sell me on anything, and I'm not going to walk out with something I didn't intend on buying when I came in here today.
So when you make large purchases, do you like window shop first and then make a decision days off?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I definitely take my time and think about that. It takes me a while to do that. I think about, man, how much money did I waste in gas and time and everything? But in hindsight, I guess to your point is I didn't make an emotional purchase right then and there. And there's probably a lot of money I've saved by not buying something right away because I did look at it for 30 days and realize I don't need it. The urge or the need to get that went away.
Yeah.
But then on the reverse side of that, there's sometimes I see some things that I can't get that urge to go away until I actually go get it. And then when I get it and I have it, and I'm like, okay, I don't really care about that anymore.
Yeah.
Right? That's the emotional spending right there.
And we live in such a world where now, resources are very limited right now. So you may find yourself, they could be like, somebody may think it's just an extra $10, it's just an extra $5. But if it becomes a recurring thing, those 5, 10 keep adding up and they start taking away from things. So I like that idea of, you probably, you go to the store, you do your shopping, you window shop, you take time to make a decision, you go back and potentially also add that to your budget. I do that too. I put that large payment on my budget and just to see how that looks like before I commit to it. Yeah. And if I can, I just wait it out or look at other options. So I like that.
To that point, during my transition between, my previous job and where I'm at now, when, I was looking at doing the State Farm Insurance Agency thing, I had about 5 months there of training. I'm at home and I got to be out doing things and shopping for stuff and looking for all this stuff. One of the things I noticed myself doing to pass the time was I'm into collectibles, and there was these little collectibles they're $10. So to me, not a lot of money is coming in at this point in time, but it filled that void of time and boredom. Right. Because it was all about the search and the hunt for it. To me, I rationalized it. Man, these are only like $10. I got this, and no problem. Hindsight in 2020, I go back and look at it, look at all the ones I got. Man, it was like $2,000 all in all, right? Wow. So it adds up, but you don't think about that at the time. And now that I look at that situation, it's like that's exactly what I was doing, was emotional shopping to fill boredom and the stress of not having the money that I was used to making. It was going to be a period of time before it started again, and starting a whole new career. Right?
Was you collecting Pokemon cards?
Pokemon cards, one thing, but the best investment I've ever made is Pokemon cards. At that time, those were worth a lot of money now. So yes, I can also justify some of my purchases in like I spent $2,000, but if I ever want to sell them, and some I have, I'm gonna get my $2,000 back. Right?
Well, there you go. That's an investment. Then
my Jordans, half of them are sitting there never worn. I'll get my money back out of those if I ever choose to sell them. So you can look at it as an investment, but it was definitely an emotional purchase for most of that stuff for one reason or another.
Yeah.
So anything to add before we get out of here?
No, excellent discussion. Again, figure out what makes you happy. What are your triggers? Get some things out there. Spending the money, putting yourself into that rut is not the way to go. So figure it out.
And I would say still have fun, reward yourself. It's important, just figure out a way how you're doing it and the impact that it has for it. And it's okay to cut back. It's okay to look at it, other options, not just the one thing that you will reward yourself from. And it's also okay to wait if it's not a big necessity, if it's going to impact your basic needs, if it's going to impact your financial position. Wait it out. Figure out the alternatives. Maybe making more money, getting a better, higher paying job, a side job, something of that nature. If it's something that you truly enjoy, if there's anything that I can utilize this to be more relatable, I would say, for instance, I enjoy traveling, and it's not feasible for me to travel all the time because traveling is expensive. And so I've figured out other ways in which I can travel through without putting myself in a bigger debt. For instance, accruing miles or traveling with friends. That way we're sharing cost. Or if I have friends who live in a particular city, asking if I can stay with them in a way that I'm cutting cost, looking on Groupons and seeing things that are on discount, and rewarding myself through that because, there's potential a sale that I would get. So yes, the goal for it is, as much as we are all we could all qualify in one way or another being emotional spenders. There's no perfect ways. I would say just, reward yourself, but know how you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say something real quick because we kind of glossed over, but parents, I mean, stick to your guns. Don't fall into, we say peer pressure, but kids can put the biggest peer pressure on a parent, thinking that way, what they need. And our babies, they don't need the latest Jordans for you, the shoe heads out there, or have to be geared up. You got a newborn, whatnot. These are things, again, people are paying high dollar for stuff that, newborn is going to grow out of in a couple of days. Be cognizant of that. And again, your teenagers, if they want some of these amenities and things that they want, have them figure it out too. Have them help out. Get them a job, ways that they can pitch in to get what it is that they want if they want to keep up with some of these trends that their peers have.
So they can understand what the value of a dollar is.
Correct.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah. My takeaway from this would be to, for those out there, to understand that emotional spending is a real thing and what effects it can have on your mental health. And then also understanding, like, what are your triggers, right? If you know my trigger is I just need something to do, find something else to do with your time that may not cost as much or may not do it, because the long-term effect that it can have on your mental health. So understanding emotional spending, what your triggers are, and that will help you manage it.
So true.
So before we get out of here today, anything in the community we want to promote? You always got something.
There you go. Well, today is Wednesday, and we're Black History Month. This is the third part of Metro Human Relations, Urban League, City of Fort Wayne, and Midwest American Federal Credit Union hosting a series, Shame of Chicago, Shame of the Nation, 5:30 to 6:30 at the Fort Wayne Library. Come on out. Hope to see you there. We will be doing a recap tomorrow morning to discuss the things that were discussed this evening. So hope to see you there.
Awesome. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. Till then, we are Our Neutral Voices. Peace.
Good night.